Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring in the bottom left hand corner Exquisite, our blue Zerg, and in the top right we have Temujin. Temujin, our red Zerg. Both players are in Masters. We're on Daybreak, and yeah, this is Zerg versus Zerg. It's Masters level, so always fun to be had there. And probably going to expect to see a lot of back and forth. Maybe we're going to see that Roach Hydra composition that's become very much into vogue, what with the latest nerfs to the infestors. It's a lot harder to pull that out. And then also, you know, the Mutalisks, they're competent and they're always handy, but that transition is always difficult. So you gotta win pretty much in the mid game for that. Mid game is pretty much where Zerg versus Zerg comes at a head. Rarely you see it over onto the late game, and then of course the early game is so very aggressive. That's, you know, it's rare that you even make it past that early game rush with all the Zerglings and all the Banelings and whatnot. But yeah, that's basically it. I mean, we're waiting for that 10 pool, but it's not coming. They're already at the 13 supply mark and starting to save up money. Exquisite is no, yeah, they're basically just waiting for that 15 supply mark so that they can throw down their spawning pools or hatcheries. Daybreak is a rather large map, so you can really 6 in one hand, half dozen to the other one. If you want to go pool first, you want to make the risk and go hatch first. There's small benefits to going hatch first, just 1 or 2 extra drones, but there's also, you know, a significant risk in the form of not being able to have those Zerglings out to protect that hatchery. So you really have to bet on yourself. It looks like Exquisite is betting on his self. You know, gotta control your drones a little bit safer. Make it so that if you do get rushed, if you do wind up facing a lot of Zerglings, that you can adequately control your drones and make it so you can minimize the amount of damage that you take from that. Temujin, I'm going to go with Jin for him. Jin is, he's getting that spawning pool up, hatch first, of course, for Exquisite, so he's going to have a little bit more by way of army a little bit earlier, but he has his own hatchery down first also, so, you know, the amount of Zerglings is just going to be those first 2 rounds of Zerglings, so get out there. The rest of the money is going to be spent on Queens, and I think all that's going to do is Exquisite's got his drone in the main base, is going to scout out that spawning pool does exist. He's going to maybe force a little bit more of a response from Exquisite. He could, you know, 1 or 2 extra rounds of Zerglings that he doesn't really need, because there's not going to be any aggression coming out of Temujin, and that can kind of mitigate the economic lead that Exquisite garnered by going for that early hatchery. A little bit of a back and forth. First round of Zerglings making their way out. I'm not 100% sure if the drone scouted it from Exquisite, but he's going to know that the first round of Zerglings are coming out. I think Exquisite's going to be relying exclusively on Queens. He's got 2 different Queens coming out, no spine crawlers on the way, no Zerglings, even though the spawning pool has finished 4 drones. Wow, that's a lot of money. And, you know, this is what I was talking about. He's betting on himself. He's betting on the fact that he can control his Queens and his drones well enough so that they don't take too much damage from these Zerglings. A nice surround on one of those Zerglings, but excellent control from Jin, pulling his Zerglings back into the choke, making it so that they do the most damage. 1 or 2 drones do go down, 2 workers killed for that. To the price, you know, they've broken even right now. Those Zerglings have killed off just as many drones as he spent on minerals, but then those are drones. Those are things that could create more minerals. So overall, I think a net win for Temujin, but this is just splitting hairs because it's such a small win. Those Queens pop up, signaling the end of any form of aggression coming out of Temujin. It looks like he's getting that Baneling nest up on the low ground with a spine crawler, just for some added defense. Now that those 2 Queens are out, for Exquisite, he's going to be able to double up on the larva production, and maybe he's thinking about some counter aggression. We'll have to look and see. Metabolic boost has started with 9. Yeah, it looks like Exquisite is a little bit behind on the metabolic boost, but not too much. And Temujin is still bringing in that gas geyser with 3 drones, whereas we only see 1 drone on Exquisite's gas geyser, meaning that Exquisite's just going to be going until he gets that 100 gas and eventually pops that hatchery over to lair, whereas Temujin has that Baneling nest coming up, and with that Baneling nest he's going to need a lot more gas so that he can actually make the Baneling bust happen. Baneling nest is also positioned for Exquisite, just real close to the front of the base. Pay attention to that gas income. It's going to have to skyrocket early so that he can actually finance the Baneling nest it's probable that he's only going to be creating 1 or 2 banelings just to protect his ramp, because those protective banelings are very, very important and devastating, and you also really don't need too much gas to do that. 1 or 2 banelings, not very expensive. Oh, right, whenever I said that, there goes 2 more extractors, probably a 3rd one back at home. There it goes. Excellent. So Exquisite's making motions like he wants to snap this up into more of a macro style. He's got another hatchery on the way. I noticed he was taking in a lot of money, almost had 1,000 for one moment there, but I think this is just, he's going to get those defensive banelings. There goes 2 of them right now, and that's all he's going to be relying on just for defense. He's not going to be making motions like he's going to be aggressive at all. Temujin, on the other hand, I think he wants to be aggressive. I think he realizes that he's a second behind because of that hatchery, but he's definitely equalized his stance because he did enough damage with that early aggression. Oh, and this is exactly how he's going to be doing it. That Spire up in the main base. Layer tech is already done. Is he on layer tech? No, it's just now starting. So Exquisite's behind in tech in 2 fronts. One, he's got the Spire started for Temujin, and then Temujin's also on layer already. Also has those that Baneling nest out, and double Evo chambers at the front with the Baneling nest positioned by the Spine Crawler. So this is a pretty tight wall off. Just enough space in between for some Zerglings to skip through, but with that Queen very, very handy, and her bulk can kind of take care of that. Temujin banking almost 600 minerals and just as much gas. So waiting for that Spire to pop, which is going to pop in maybe 20 seconds. So he's going to be in for a world of hurt. Exquisite is going to be in for a world of hurt because we don't even see an Evo chamber on. Oh wait, is this post-patch? Can they make Spine Crawlers or Spore Crawlers without the Evolution Chamber? No, they can't. I guess that's only a Heart of the Swarm thing. I get very confused very easily. So it's not yet, but in coming days they'll be able to throw down that Spore Crawler without any Evo chambers. But as things are now, Exquisite doesn't have an Evo chamber up at the front door. There goes 2. Okay. Oh no, just 1. No, just 2. Okay, cool. So 2 right with the Roach Warren. Fantastic. With an Evo chamber coming up, Evo chamber, and I mean Infestor Pit coming up just to the left side of that main. At the same time, Temujin's Mutalisks are on their way across the map. Going to be going over to the 3rd, which is completely unsaturated. As all things considered, this is the last place that a Temujin wants to hit Exquisite. Much rather see this drone just get absolutely demolished. Even though the 2 queens are rather handy, the number of Mutalisks can do quite a number to those to that drone line. This hatchery will definitely fall. There's no form of mobile anti-air to speak of for Exquisite, but that hatchery's 1,000 hit points, it's 1,000, right? No, 1,500 hit points will buy him enough time for Exquisite to get up some Spore Crawlers. We can see that there's 4 of them on the production tab. The rest of them are probably being built up at the main base. A little bit of a sparring of the Zerglings back and forth, but with no Banelings on either side. It's basically just a slugging match with Temujin once again coming out on top of it. I believe that was some aggression that Temujin wanted to have, and then I guess some counter aggression from Exquisite. Temujin's going to get pushed away. His Mutalisks not really finding a very hospitable main base. The pathogen glands are almost done, so those infestors will be popping out relatively shortly, and their fungal growth will absolutely crush those Mutalisks if they choose to be very ballsy. 5 queens are out on the field. Got to be careful. Small number of Zerglings right now, but they're going to be dealing some significant damage to that hatchery, probably enough to force a cancel. They do indeed. Fantastic. Where are those Mutalisks? You lose track of them for 1 second, and okay, yeah, so they go over to the 3rd. That's fantastic. Probably going to be taking care of this Overlord, which is scouting that the 3rd has been taken by Temujin, which signifies for Exquisite he's gonna need to get his own up. Also, it looks like the queens are working on the creep spread over there so that they can rapidly reinforce that area, and Exquisite has successfully switched over to Roach Tech. He's got Roach Speed on the way, as well as the 1-1 being researched for those roaches, which will also benefit the queens, and as mobile anti-air, that's an excellent choice. Speaking of roaches, Temujin has his own plethora of roaches heading out with the 2-2 started, as well as Tunneling Claws and Burrow. So Temujin just staying 1 step ahead this entire time by way of tech. Exquisite switching over to roaches, while Temujin's been on roaches for a while now, but what he doesn't have is a numerical numerical superiority, even though his upgrades were for a second there just a little bit ahead. And remember, those Mutalisks are still alive, however the natural and the main are completely locked down. Wow, that Spore Crawler is very aggressively positioned, and in fact this mineral line is completely untouched. What about down here? Well, those infestors are totally worthless right there. Well, I guess no. I guess what he's hoping for is for the Mutalisks to swing by. The Spore Crawlers are positioned far enough back that he could probably pop those infestors up and either do a fungal growth to allow them just to sit there and take it from all the Spore Crawlers, or more likely pop up and do one fungal and then add in some infestors on top of that. Either way, that's a deadly trap, but hopefully Temujin won't fall for it, because it'd be devastating for, it'd be a pretty significant loss for him. An infestor pit of Temujin's own being added up, just seeing that those infestors are out, so he can't really discount that tech path that Exquisite has taken, but he's not really capitalizing on it with them, so, just kind of hanging out here. You really don't need some 5 infestors just sitting out inside your base. You only need 1 if you're going to do a fungal growth on just the Mutalisks. Not all 5. Those 5 fungal growths could be absolutely world-shattering to all the roaches that Temujin has out on the field right now. And Exquisite has successfully held off any pressure that could be coming out of Temujin, just for the time being. His own roaches, his own queens, provided enough defense of that hatchery so that the combination of roaches and Mutalisks really weren't enough to break down that door. It looks like they're going to be taking out the destructible debris, an interesting choice, as Temujin is actually taking the risky stance of taking his own 4th rather than trying to do any pressure on Exquisite. I don't really understand why he's taking down the destructible debris. I guess opening up a supplemental pathway to the 3rd, but in my opinion it makes his 4th a little bit more vulnerable. I'd be interested to hear his thought process behind that. The infestors are moving out though quite a lot. Hidden infestors. I don't see any overseers on the field with the exception of the one that is with the main base. Now we check out that the units tab, and there's 3 of them. I wonder where those 3 are. Have to take a look around, but I don't want to keep my eyes away from the battle that's going down on the 3rd. Temujin moving in with his Mutalisks. Oh, they get caught with a fantastic fungal growth. We see another one trying to do the chain. However, so many fungal growths going up on top. A nice concave for Temujin and a good choke for against Exquisite, making it so that Exquisite has to barrel through of his roaches, taking one too many hits. Remember, the 2-2 is done for Temujin, but not for Exquisite. Exquisite's still on that 1-1, but the support from the infestors is enough to turn the tide. Temujin has to limp away, even though he had the superior numbers in roaches, as well as the fantastic concave and upgrades. Exquisite's fungal growths from his infestors are enough to turn the tide. However, these roaches are outpacing the infestors. They're so far ahead of the infestors, it doesn't even look like they're following. Now Temujin, with a huge swell of roaches, will turn around and kind of even up the units lost tab. We can see that it is pretty much neck and neck, but definitely in the favor of Temujin after a battle like that. 18 more roaches on the production tab for Temujin, and we see nothing being built for Exquisite. There goes a fantastic fungal growth, cutting Temujin's force pretty much in half. Again, Temujin retreating into the gap that he in fact opened up himself. There goes the fungal growth again, 1 and 2, and now these roaches are taking a fantastic amount of damage because the upgrades are now even, 2 for 2 on either side. Exquisite, with the numerical superiority, is going to be barreling down. He just wishes he had enough energy for just 1 more fungal growth. He does. Where is it? There goes. Fantastic, but with more roaches up swelling in to support the roaches already on the field from Temujin, it looks like Exquisite is going to be forced all the way back. We can see 11 more roaches on the production tab. This is just roach against roach, but there goes the concave crumbling for Temujin, so that he gets a fantastic surround on the remains of those roaches, and now they get pulled back, half of them standing by at the 4th and the rest of them pushing into their doom into the 3rd. I don't think Temujin is going to succeed in taking out the 3rd, but he has succeeded in protecting his own 4th, which is probably going to be working on that saturation relatively soon. And we can see 2 more hatcheries on the production tab for Temujin. He's got 3-3 on the way. Very much content to sit around on those roaches. I'm hoping to see a Hydralisk's Den later, or sooner, or later, I don't know. Some infestors would be nice also, because we've seen how incredibly successful they are in this fight. I don't think Temujin can survive for much longer if he just stays on roaches. He needs to get out a form of higher tech, and I don't think upgrades are going to be enough. On the other side of things, Exquisite seems to have lost all of his infestors, or they're somewhere else and I'm just not seeing them. He's got 3 more infestors on the way, 3 of them just kind of sitting here, so 6 total for the next fight, and we've seen how incredibly successful those infestors are at killing a lot of roaches, and a lot of roaches is exactly what Temujin has. He's got 2 pages of roaches, fantastic. But that Spire's really not doing anything. He's on Hive, oh, and he just now started Greater Spire, fantastic. I was wondering when he was going to do that. Good job there. Got to be working on that later tech, and he's finally got 4 bases up, so he can definitely afford Broodlords. I mean, look at all that gas, look at all those minerals. Quite a lot of both. Temujin got to be careful, doing a nice split. Exquisite being too ballsy, the infestors are nowhere to be found. Temujin's going to be able to push in, probably take this third if there's no support from the infestors. There's the infestors on the south side of this. Once again, Temujin engaging in that choke, but look at this nice concave. Look at those concave for the roaches, doing some extra damage there because all of them can engage at one time. A fantastic fungal growth on the north side of this engagement. I think Temujin is he's in a lot of trouble. 2-2 and 2-2, so yeah, Exquisite is going to be just barely able to hold, I think. Yes, okay, fantastic. Temujin is pulling back. That is so close. Oh my goodness. And it's literally because of these infestors, and Exquisite did a much better job of mitigating the choke that was right here. Temujin had a fantastic concave, but over on the north side, those roaches were engaging over here on the left side to some roaches, and so Exquisite pushed his roaches up around that hatchery so that he had a fantastic concave all the way around that, making it so he wasn't just engaging in the choke, that there were no wasted roaches during that fight. It was absolutely fantastic. Hats off to Exquisite for making that work. Adrenal Glands will be finishing, as well as the 3-3 for Temujin. He's got some Hydras on the way, which is going to be fantastic for him. Creep spread is not as extensive as Exquisite's, but it's because he's taken that fourth for Exquisite himself is being taken. He's got just a little bit of money. He's kind of starved right now because that, even though that last engagement definitely went Exquisite's way, he really hasn't re-macroed. He's at 120 over 193. The roach number is absolutely huge, and with fully upgraded roaches up on the north side, Temujin's looking like he's going to be able to swing in and crush this hatchery with little to no problem. Those Hydras are going to represent a lot of DPS, however, they need to engage in a choke, pulling down to the south side, which is a huge mistake. The huge number of roaches coming in from all angles is getting a fantastic surround. There goes the infested Terran, just because I guess those infestors didn't have enough energy to do a fungal growth. But I mean, no matter, there's no amount of fungal growths that are going to save this expansion. The 4th was definitely going to go down, and then the sheer number of roaches and hydras that were left alive afterwards, Temujin was going to march into the natural and crush all these tech structures here, and that was going to be the end of it, especially with the 3-3 just on the way. Very well played. Exquisite. It was an exquisite hold for that hatchery. That was absolutely fantastic. Probably my highlight of the game. However, Temujin, like I said, man, you had a lead about halfway through with the tech, that spire going up, and then you had the lair going up before that, and then you had the roaches with their +1/1 on each engagement. You were just one level ahead of tech, and the only thing Exquisite ever had that you didn't was those infestors, and he used them pretty well, but ultimately you just capitalized on that lead and you held it. It was absolutely fantastic. You guys are absolutely fantastic. If you have a game you want me to cast, you could PM me here or on Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Big and Scary. Bye.